comes in and takes the lead guard, and we go from there.
Jacob.
So I think if we use one of the picks and trade the other, I think we need to go for a shooting. So that'd probably be centered around someone like Grady Dick. If we use both picks, I think we need to go for an upside pick. So I'd probably go for Eamon Thompson, probably. I think he's got the most upside in the draft. I think the best version of Eamon Thompson is probably one of Victor Wembanyama is probably the best player out of this draft. If Eamon Thompson translates, he could turn out to just be a role player and just a solid defender and they can't shoot. But if I'm looking best possible outcome, I think Eamon Thompson could be one of the best players to come out of this draft. So I'd go him and then probably Grady Dick. 2 players.
G?
Basically what Jacob and Gary said then, since Gary tagged me in on a video of Grady, shall we call him, the other day, I liked what I saw, shooting, and then if I were to pair somebody else, I'm not that bothered about Scoot Henderson, having looked at the stats. I think he's a poor man's Markel Fultz. Brandon Miller, I'm thinking then. Best of the rest, so to speak. So I'll stick with those 2.
Carl?
Miller and Jordan Hawkins. We're not gonna draft either of those because all my favourite players tend to get drafted and picked before we get to them. So yeah, no chance of signing any of them. But they're my favourite. If you're not letting me pick Wembanyama.
Fair enough. Barry?
Scoot, probably. He's very kind of Jalen Greenish in a lot of ways that I've seen him, so I think he could be a good shout. Probably Grady. He's like, need a shooter. Need something that can shoot.
Yeah, massively. Okay, right. Who is the one player you'd like us to pass on? Or who you don't think fits what we need? So, what order did I go in? Who went first?
You haven't given us yours yet, mate.
No, so I'll tell you at the end.
What, after we've picked?
Yeah.
After it's been decided.
Well, my predictions have been all over the place this year, so there's no point. So, who do we go to? Stu?
Hello again. Not gone that deep so far, but I did read some stuff about how, like, one of the Thompsons they didn't think had that much upside, but I've not gone that deep. And given that I don't cover NBA anymore and I've had to do Formula One, I've not gone that deep in the draft. So I'm probably not the best guy to ask on that. But I think it might have been, I don't know how you see his name, is like Ausar
Thompson.
Yeah, supposedly doesn't have a great amount of upside. So, but I'm basing that on very, very little information, admittedly. I've only really looked at the top, so 3 or 4.
It's interesting because, like, I've seen the same sort of theories on Ausar Thompson, but then I listened to Philip Rossman Wright today when I had a bit of time to stick a podcast on, and he would pick Ausar over Eamon just because he's a slightly better shooter. So I was like, that's...
So see this thing with shooting? I think the shooting is the bit that comes when we like do the trade. See when we... Sorry.
You said to him.
Yeah. No, I think you could...
My son's currently having a FIFA rage, which is keeping the wife awake. So if you hear screaming and shouting in the background, that's what it is.
All good. I know. I just think like the trade will be the moment that we explore that, because shooting, the front office have said in the past, like in interviews, and it holds true. It's the easy. I mean, despite the Magic not having it like for so long now, like plenty of good shooters in the squad, it is the easiest thing to add. You know, like you can pick it up. So if you get every other aspect to split the show right, then you can get that at the end.
Yeah.
And it's the last bit. So I'm not as concerned about building that through the draft as all of the other aspects.
Fair enough. Who do I go to next? Gary?
Wait for a minute, I'll just leave you with my sponsor.
I think, do you know what comes into mind? I think with the Magic is how serious, I know we already said off air about how serious the Brandon Miller stuff is, but it would be a front office nightmare for the Magic if we had anything that was like the Ja Morant stuff that's going on now. So I think for how the Magic are set up, I think the Brandon Miller one would be the one that they would be having the massive questions in the investigation into what they would do if they got that pick.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about talent, I'm talking about personality. Brandon Miller might be the one who would be a cat amongst the pigeons in the Magic front office. But I'd also think we should just fire up the Golden State Warriors trade machine and offer the 11th pick for Steph Curry. Seeing as that seems... So yeah, that solves our shooting. 11th pick for Steph Curry.
He's a bit small for a point guard, though, isn't he? He isn't really going to fit in with our length, is he?
He's
I wouldn't trade him for the 11th pick. Yeah, it's got to be way more valuable.
Second rounder then, Carl. Second rounder.
Yeah, we don't use our second round picks anyway. I reckon we could. I mean, the salary cap might need a bit of work, but you know what?
Cash considerations.
I think I could do it for a second.
Just doesn't fit our timeline, man.
We don't want Steph.
So is Mikey frozen with anybody else?
Yeah, for me.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So I think he's going to come to me next anyway. So I don't know. Oh, he's dropped off. A great deal about some of the prospects, but just looking at the top 10, I'm looking at Jarris Walker, power forward, who's 6'8". We've already got a power forward. So if I'm passing on somebody, it's probably somebody who plays Paolo's position. Yeah, so I'm going to shoot for Jarris Walker. But I don't know enough about it, if I'm being honest with you. And, you know, we need shooting. I don't know if he's a shooter. So I'm going to have to do my homework between now and the draft, depending on where we land tonight. Nice to have you back, Michael.
I don't know what happened. My internet just dropped out for no reason. There we go.
Before you were playing musical statues.
Never mind. I'm back. Where do we get to?
Me. So, do you come to Jacob next?
Should I jump in? Yeah. I think like UG, to be fair. Jarris Walker, I think, is the one guy. I think I've mentioned this to you as well, Mikey, in the past. But I think so. I've seen two comps for Jarris Walker as like John Collins and Paul Millsap. So I don't know about you guys, but I don't really have much appetite for another John Collins and Paul Millsap in our front court, to be honest. I think that's the very last thing we need. And we seem to be drafting power forwards every year. So yeah, I don't fancy me some Jarris Walker out the top 10. But I've not seen beyond the top 10. And players that I've looked at. So yeah, like UG, I'm with Jarris Walker on that one.
Who's next?
Is it Carl?
Carl?
Right. They're just coming on the stage, Mikey. I don't know if you've got this on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm in front of EG.
Well, talk us through it then, mate.
Well, out comes Mark Tatum. So we need the Bulls pick to be announced one of the first picks, don't we? Otherwise, they jump into the top 4.
Do we? What's next year's draft like? The Bulls probably might be worse next season. It might be a better pick.
True. The Pelicans.
That's what next year's draft is. To be honest, I'd rather take it this year. Make sure we get it.
Right. Pelicans not jumped. That's good. We need the Raptors next.
Yeah.
What are you watching this on, guys, out of interest?
NBA TV.
Yeah, same.
Right. Now we need Oklahoma.
Raptors.
The Thunder.
Right. Now we need the Bulls pick.
Come on.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Get in.
So,
Thanks, Chicago.
I wonder if Chicago will mess up on the broadcast again.
That would be hilarious. I'd love that.
Number 10, the Dallas
Dallas.
Mavericks.
So it's gone to form so far. Utah next, we need.
The Utah Jazz.
You're about 1 second ahead of me.
Number 8
We need the Washington Wizards.
is the Wizards.
Happy days. It's looking good so far. We need the Pacers next.
Come on, the Pacers.
Pacers.
Right, this is where we
This
don't
is
need
the,
us.
this is
We need
pivotal.
Portland. We need Portland.
Come on. Well, there you go. Number 6. It's all right.
Rubbish.
It's out of the last 4 drafts since the odds changed, that's the best pick.
So Portland have jumped. That's good because you want Wemby out west. So Detroit were the best odds and they've got out.
We really did not want Wembanyama teaming up with Kate Cunningham.
So hang on, there's only
No.
one team in the East left, which is great. Only the Charlotte Hornets can win the first pick from the East.
Win the first pick and take Scoot Henderson to pair with LaMelo Ball.
Seems like a thing their front office would do.
Yeah, of the last 4 drafts, the team with the 6th best odds landed 9, 8, 7, and 7. So they get the 6th pick. It's better than the last few years, but there we go. How are we feeling? Disappointed.
Yeah, I've just
A little
been a bit behind.
disappointed. At the beginning, if we'd have kept the 11th and got 6, I said we'd be okay. But in the lead up to it there, when the picks were coming out, and there's 6 teams left, you're thinking, oh, hopefully. But unfortunately, it was Portland that's jumped.
Who do you, out of those 4 then? So who is it? The Rockets, the Spurs, the Hornets, and the Blazers. Who do you want Wemby to go to?
Portland.
Portland.
Spurs.
I was going to say the
Portland
Spurs as
Portland
well.
or San Antonio, I think, are the
Yeah.
two for me. I don't want him to go to Detroit.
I hope he doesn't go to the Rockets.
Oh no.
In fact, no, actually, I don't want to go to the Hornets because we have to face them 4 times a year.
Yeah.
If he goes to Portland, it'd be really interesting because of obviously what Lillard said. He doesn't want to rebuild. So they're going to cash him in.
They won't trade Wemby. I don't see that being a.
I
front
know.
office needs
Would
to
they
sort of
trade
come and
Lillard?
check Lillard at that point. Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
So 6 and 11.
You've got to package that or try it, right? If you can
I
get
don't.
no?
What to move up, Stu?
Yeah. Like
I don't think you need to. Honestly, I don't think you need to.
but what do you get then? Because I'm just trying to think like in terms of what we need as a team. Like
Well,
there's plenty of small forwards on the board.
I've been watching quite a lot of Hoop Intellect, and he doesn't have Asar Thompson quite as high on his list. I think if out of the 2 Thompson twins, I think he's the one that falls. Now neither might not be there at 6 anyway, but if one of the Thompson twins was to fall, you would take one of those. Otherwise,
Anthony Black. I don't know enough about him.
He comes from Arkansas.
Arkansas.
What?
Anthony Black's not a good shooter. He's a good defender, but we've already got Jalen Suggs. We don't need.
What do we know about Cam Whitmore and Keontae George?
Cam Whitmore is basically a ball dominant scorer from what I've had a look at. Let me see if I've got some notes somewhere. I'll tell you.
Sorry to put you on the
I
spot.
That's
think
all right,
he's been
mate.
dubbed to be one of the best athletes in the draft, Cam Whitmore.
Right.
Like a shooting guard, small forward, athletic. I've seen rumours that he could probably set one of a really high scoring, like the vertical jump and stuff like that. So I know he can leap out the gym from what I've heard. But I don't know too much bar that. But yeah, sort of shooting guard, small forward, tweener. You know, he's one of the 2-3 guards that we're seeing ever more prominent in the NBA. I think that's the only thing I've heard about Cam Whitmore. I've still got to read up into it.
I'm seeing he's rate listed at 232. Like that's huge.
I've got 225 here. Yeah, on Hoop Intellect, he's 6'7", 225 with a 6'11" wingspan. Upside is size, explosiveness, scoring upside, his cutting ability, and defensively. And I reckon his ceiling's probably an all-star. And this comparison is Miles Bridges.
I like everything that says about, like, I like that kind of identity of our archetype of player, like for what we need, to be fair.
35% from 3 last season, but he only shot 70% from the free throw line. So
at 6, I'm quite a fan of Taylor Hendricks. At 6,
I am. Yeah, I am, mate.
I think based on what our front court
Here we go.
like at the moment. Hold on.
Yes.
Come on, Charlotte.
It's not gone to Houston. The Charlotte Hornets. No.
I've seen a tweet come up to say San Antonio's won it.
San Antonio.
What a dick.
He's our pick.
Wow. I'm glad he's going to San Antonio.
Nuggets. That's coming up right after we finish.
I'm glad he's going to San Antonio.
Me too. I had a feeling about that. I should put a bet on it. Genuinely tweeted it this afternoon or yesterday afternoon.
So already it's one of these situations like we talked about. The Hornets with the second pick. Does Scoot Henderson make much sense next to LaMelo Ball? Do they go Brandon Miller?
I think they go Miller.
This is where the two, I mentioned earlier about anyone could go between 2 and 5. This is the sort of thing now, the situation where. I was a bit delayed there.
And then is it Portland with the third pick? Who've got Damian Lillard? Do they trade Damian Lillard and draft Scoot Henderson?
Yeah.
Joining us.
I mean, think about it. If Brandon Miller goes to, right, if Charlotte's at 2 and think, right, we don't want a guard to put next to LaMelo, let's get Brandon Miller. Then you've got Scoot and Eamon both on the board at 3, 4. Like you said, if there's someone at 3 that doesn't need a guard, then suddenly people slip, and this is where it comes from. I don't know.
And then you got Houston with the 4th pick. Who fits next to Jalen Green? Eamon Thompson.
Be one of them, wouldn't it?
It's got to be Eamon Thompson, surely. He's more of the point guard than I'd say. Asar's more of a shooting guard, small forward sort of player. I think Eamon goes to 4. 5. Who's got the 5th pick?
Detroit. So they'll be gutted. So just looking at it, San Antonio picking first have jumped 2. Charlotte, who was second, have jumped 2. Portland, who were third, have jumped 2. Houston, who were 4th, have gone down 2. And Detroit, who were 5th, have gone down 4.
I think Detroit could take Cam Whitmore. I don't think they need I don't think they need another guard if you've got Cade and Jaden Ivey. I think Cam Whitmore makes sense there. So I would have a guess now. Asar Thompson would be on the board. Anthony Black, Hendricks, Grady. Interesting.
Gary's going to sleep.
I think if we need shooting, though, if we decide that we need shooting, I don't think Grady Dick will be available at 11. So we're going to have to make a decision then, aren't we? Of do we go shooting and get the best shooter in the draft at 6? Forget upside. I don't know what I'd do, but what shooting is going to be available with that second pick? And if we decide that shooting's a major priority, as John Hammond mentioned, if shooting's going to be a priority this off season, like, are we going to pick for upside, or are we going to take the best shooter at 6 and our picks? And if the best shooter in the draft, which is supposedly Grady Dick, is available at 6, and we don't think he's going to be available at 11, what do we do? Do we trade out at 6? Do we package 11 to move up? I don't know.
That's what I would do. I would go Asar Thompson and try and trade up to get Taylor Hendricks.
So I think it's interesting, right? Like one of the things that Weltman always says is flexibility is the key, right? He always wants to have like options and flexibility when it comes to doing deals. With the 11th pick there, you can do things, as you say, you can take whoever's at 6 and then trade up with the single pick. You can cash out on one of them and trade down if you've got something that you want. It doesn't necessarily need to be taken at 6. Like, we're going to be very, very interesting to watch on draft night. I think there's quite a high percentage of chance that there is some sort of draft pick trade with the Magic of some sort. I don't know what shape it takes, though.
Any other thoughts, guys? Barry?
I'm trying to think. Is there, what's the consensus kind of, is it the same as the usual where, there's 5 great guys in here pick 6, or, is there really 6, 7, 8 kind of guys who are running about the same level? And, but then you're saying if you're needing a shooter, but then is the shooter good enough to drop down, or do you drop back to 8 or something, maybe try and get them there 8 or 9, or I don't know, actually. I normally don't look too much in it until I know what picks we're getting, because I don't like looking at people that I've absolutely no chance of getting.
Well, it's a 1+2 draft, isn't it? There's no question who's going 1.
Yeah.
The next one is probably pretty set. So that's not like, some years when, there's been 4 players and we've had the 5th pick.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of question marks who's going to be there at 6. Things could change between now and then. So I'm not really that, like I said, I wasn't really that fussed if we didn't jump up. Maybe it would prefer just to drop down a bit. But the difference makers will have gone by then, unless we trade up. The real difference makers, anyway.
I don't think we know. I think at 6 we could still get a difference maker. I just think it depends how the first 5 picks go. I think there's a lot of potential in this draft, and I also, on the flip side, I don't think we need a difference maker.
No.
I think the move that we made last year in picking Paolo, getting Franz the year before, I think we've got 2 big difference makers. I think if we get connecting pieces with our picks, and if we come out and think with 2 solid connecting pieces, say a shooter, say a backup big, it's going to be a win, really. I mean, we've just got the rookie of the year.
I think by that logic, though, then what you want to do is get a guy who's elite at something with your pick.
Yeah.
But the difference I got with you, Jacob, I'm not convinced those 2 are enough I like them. I think they're both great players. But if you were to ask me right now, unless we got somebody else, are we going to win a title with those two as our best players? My answer is no. I mean, I want to be wrong on that, but I honestly do not believe that they are going to win us a title unless we get somebody really good.
We've got flexibility with the cap. We've got
Yeah.
lots of money. We've got lots of assets. We're in a good place.
We're in a good place. I'm not convinced that we complete our team in this draft, whether we pick it 6 and 11 or whatever. One thing I just looked at there is in the top 60 list I just looked at, there were 2 centres listed. Two bigs. And I think one of the positions that we maybe want to upgrade at, and I know this is potentially a controversial opinion, but I'm no sure Wendell is a guy that necessarily gets done. I think he'd be a decent role player in the championship team, but the big is such a key position now.
Get out.
No.
Get out. Don't talk about Wendell like that. No, I'm joking.
No,
it's valid though. It's a valid point.
So I think if you're looking positions to upgrade, I think Markel Fultz is good enough. I think Franz Wagner's good enough, and I think Paulo Banchero's good enough, and I think we've got a host of players that could be impactful for the bench. I think if you're going to look to upgrade at any position, it's either at centre or whatever one of the wing spots you're not putting Franz at. So that's the 2 areas we can look at, and there's only one of them that you're going to be able to upgrade in this draft, which is one of the reasons that I think there's a good chance that we could be involved in a trade, unless they want to sort of draft someone and then move the pieces after. But I would be surprised if we picked more than one player in this lottery for that reason.
I was actually going to say that to you, Stu. I genuinely can't see us picking 2 more rookies into an already ridiculously young team.
Exactly. I think they're going to maybe look for some experience.
Interestingly, Tankathon has updated his mock draft after the results. So they've got Victor going 1, obviously. They've got Brandon Miller going 2 to Charlotte. Scoot Henderson going 3 to Portland. Amen Thompson going 4 to the Rockets. Jarris Walker going 5 to the Pistons. Asar Thompson going to us at 6. Cam Whitmore going 7 to the Pacers. Anthony Black 8 to the Wizards. Taylor Hendricks 9 to the Jazz. Gary's mate Grady 10 to the Mavericks, and then us taking Cason Wallace, who is a point guard at 11.
Who can't really shoot either.
So you need to make, to try and move up.
I know guard depth is always a good thing to have, but I'm not really sure we need another point guard, do you?
No, I don't.
I don't think we do.
Not with the 11th pick.
No.
Take a second rounder and get a third point guard. Because
I would have taken Scoot.
Unless we move somebody, but depends what, because if we try to get somebody experienced in, somebody's going to go, and we're not going to get somebody who really moves the needle if we're just moving the players we don't really want, like Tuma. Assuming we don't want Tuma, but he seems the odd man out.
Yeah, I can't see him coming back. Asar Thompson, that's who I would have circled on my 6th pick. He actually shot, so he was 30% from 3 last year. And he was the better shooter than out of the 2 twins. But he shot 38% in the playoffs. So take that for what you will. But that was playing in the Overtime Elite League, which nobody really knows how to judge. But the thing is, his strengths defensively, his athleticism, cutting and playmaking. So if you're drafting somebody at 6 to play next to Paolo, Franz and Fultz, somebody who's good defensively, who's a good cutter off the ball, which is what you want with good passes around him. He's also a good playmaker as well, which is something else that we're putting together. Everybody's capable of making something happen. and his athleticism, I think, would give us something. I don't mean this against anyone else, but it would make it exciting to watch. It's like watching Ja Morant throw a dunk down, or we'll probably see Scoot doing it a lot next season. Asar Thompson
Harder
could
to
do
get
a lot
in
of
the
that as well.
They crowd the paint out because nobody can hit something from the outside, and
Well,
they
yeah.
don't shooting on that team.
That's true.
I mean, that's how teams have stopped Giannis, isn't it? They just crowd the paint.
Mm.
You know, they so missed Middleton last season in the playoffs because they didn't have anyone who could hit it.
Yeah, massively.
So quick round robin then. Who, if you had to guess now, who's the two players who walk out with the draft? If there's two, I'll go in the order I can see. A G.
Sar Thompson at 6. And hopefully Taylor Hendricks at 11 if he drops.
Gary.
Just unmuting there. I think Thompson seems to be the logical where it would fit because I can't see someone like Brandon Miller dropping. I'm going to just say I think Grady Dick will drop to us to 11. There you go.
Jacob.
Yeah, Asar, and I'm hoping Grady Dick falls to 11.
Jacob knows ball.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Oh no. Barry.
I love Jacob now more than ever.
I'm going to have to go with Asar Dick.
Dick's out. Come on.
Cal.
Well, I don't think Dick will be available. I think he's going to rise up the draft.
Is he a late riser or an early one?
Let's see. No, I'm going to reach for Hawkins.
So you're not going to reach for Dick?
No, like I said, he's already gone up too far.
No reach around there, lads.
Oi. Stu, rein it back in.
Yeah, I mean, I think Thompson at 6, and if he's available at 11, I'm grabbing Dick.
Oh,
You, Mikey?
Go on, Mikey.
oh
You know what you
no.
want to do.
I'm
Jump on
gonna
it, Mikey. Jump on it.
jump on the dick. I'm gonna go Asar Thompson at 6, and I'm gonna say we package to move up and get Taylor Hendricks.
So you're going to package Dick?
No, Dick could be off the board.
Oh,
Dick could be off. I reckon.
So, question, Mikey. Then, if you're thinking about,
Yes.
and we don't really know what the anatomy of a trade up would look like yet, and this is only, but like, sort of like what if you were thinking of trading up from 11 to pick Taylor Hendricks? Like, what would we have to give up? What future picks? A player? Like, I wouldn't even know what the anatomy of that sort of trade would look like.
Well, who's above us? So who we would have to move up? So for
Indiana,
11,
Washington.
I can't see. I think if Grady is on the board when Dallas pick, I think Dallas pick him because I think he fits well next to Luka. Depending on how many more years Luka's in Dallas, but that's another story. Utah's an interesting one because they've already got Lauri Markkanen and what's the centre? What's the big man who they drafted?
Walker Kessler.
Walker Kessler. So do they really want to add? Do they really want to add Taylor Hendricks to that? I'm not sure.
You should maybe ask that beat writer for Utah.
Oh man.
Anthony Black, I think's a reach. I mean, look, what did you say he's picked to go 8th G on Tankathon at the moment?
It was 7 or 8, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. He's 8th.
I think that's a bit of a reach for me, but I'm not quite sure. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe there's a deal there with Indiana. And
We've got
Whitmore to
We've got
Indiana.
enough second round picks we can and cash considerations.
It's just whether I don't know. It's whether you risk
Indiana's
just waiting
good.
to see if they
Power
drop
forward.
to. Say again,
They
Carl.
don't really have many forwards, do they?
Who's that? Sorry.
Pacers.
Indiana, they don't really have many sort of big forwards.
No. I mean, really, if you're looking at that team, it's Halliburton and Turner,
Hmm.
and a bunch of decent
Bradley
role players.
Hield. Yeah.
Mataran's all right.
Oh,
yeah.
and Matherin. Sorry, no, good shout. Yeah, Cam
Mitch
Whitmore.
Smith was one of my old former favourite draft picks we never got.
I think they'll be choosing between Whitmore and Hendricks if I had to guess, and I think Hendricks has got more upside than Cam Whitmore.
Whitmore's only 18 though. Is
He is.
thinking.
Thing is, Hendricks is only 6'9", but he plays bigger than that. I don't know if you've seen any highlights, but he's actually a really good shot blocker. Like you could see him playing a small ball. Like, that's why I'm thinking if the Magic end up getting Taylor Hendricks, you could see him almost being able to play the 4 and the 5. I wouldn't say you want to play him at the 5 for long, but you could play him there for stretches, and he gives us shot blocking, something we don't actually have much of at the moment. But
He's got real ability to shoot, hasn't he?
oh,
He's
mate,
got the potential to. He can shoot all right now, but he's got the potential to really build that out over time.
shot 39% last year for a 6'9" power forward. So defensive versatility, rim protection, 3-point shooting, athletic.
I think Goga Bitadze, no disrespect, I don't know what the ceiling for us as a team is with the backup bigs we've currently got, and that's why I think we do need a big, probably.
Who were we discussing the other day, Gary? Can you remember?
You like Naz Reid, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't think we'll possibly get him, but there's plenty of big men, and I think Stu said there's plenty of 3-point shooting available in free agency this year.
Mm-hmm. I'm just actually looking at big men in the draft. I've been watching a bit more European stuff, and the James Nagy they've got going at 30 in Tankathon. Centre for Barcelona, like a lot of potential.
Yeah,
But I don't think our timeline is really taking that into account now. I think because we've got players that are all at an age where you're going to have to pay them before other players would have developed, then it's now like we want players that are as close to plug-in and ready as we can get. So that's why I don't know how it's going to be, and I'm not sure how much emphasis there will be in the draft for us this year. Definitely think we take someone at 6, and then it's just a case of, like, I mean, there is obviously the chance that if who we want is going to go at 4 or 5, maybe, that you could fling in the 11th pick and maybe twist the arm of one of the teams that's a bit further behind in their rebuild than we are. But I don't know.
Who wants their night ruined here?
go on.
Dan Savage tweeted 5 minutes ago that
Oh, we were one number out or something.
Yeah.
is that?
first 3 numbers that came up in the lottery combo for the number 1 overall pick, but we're off on the last one.
It is what it is.
There you go.
I think if this was last year, we'd all be down in the dumps, but I don't think we all feel like that. I don't know.
I'm a little bit. I mean, I could see when Banyama fitting perfectly in, but when you've got 9% chance of getting him, I'm not going to get too upset if we didn't win it.
No. But going back to backup bigs, here's a list of some of the free agents available this summer. Dwight Powell, Thomas Bryant, Mason Plumlee, Xavier Tillman, Naz Reid, Jackson Hayes, Paul Reed, Alex Len, and Jakob Poeltl, and Andre Drummond.
Pearl's available.
Well, a decent shout.
So there's plenty of big men that
I'll
you can
start
upgrade
Pearl.
that backup. Pardon?
I'd start Pearl. Seriously?
Yeah. No, I can see a case.
You got a list of shooting guards there. That'd be useful too.
Yeah.
Let me have a look. Seth Curry's one of them. DiVincenzo.
He played for the Warriors. He must be brilliant. We won't be able to get him as well as Jordan Poole.
Just bring it up. So if we're looking at two guards, who's available? James Harden, no. Bruce Brown would be a great get. Jordan Clarkson, Josh Hart, Austin Reeves,
Jordan Clarkson's from Tampa as well.
Gary Trent Jr.,
And I
Karis
think
LeVert.
Clarkson's underrated.
Decent names here, by the way.
Very.
Austin Reeves is restricted. Malik
I mean,
Beasley and Alex.
He's LeBron now, isn't he?
Yeah, Austin Reeves. I can't see leaving the Lakers.
Absolutely, 100% they pay him.
Apparently, the most the Lakers can give him is 50 over 4, whereas a lot of people are saying that he's probably going to be expecting about 70 or 80 over 4, and people will probably throw that at him.
Seriously?
Seriously, I've seen a few posts up the night on Twitter about it. Aye.
He's the flavour of the month, but he's just having like a period that's the equivalent of like, I mean, albeit timed a little differently, but it's like the Jeremy Lin thing. He's flavour of the month right now. Like, is that commensurate with a 4-year contract? It's a big risk.
I think it's always nice having LeBron in your corner. He holds such a weight in the NBA, and he has done for a number of years. If he likes a player, he tends to get them decently paid. There seems to be a trend. I mean, he got J.R. Smith paid in Cleveland for how many years? I
mean, J.R. Smith was a better player even before he joined there, wasn't he? He was an established starter for years.
I wonder how much LeBron regretted that time he forgot the clock and score situation in the NBA final.
I don't know. But yeah, Bruce Brown, Gary Trent Jr., they'd probably be near the top of my list. Max Strus is unrestricted. Seth Curry.
They're not difference makers, though, are they? They're not somebody who's going to come in and
Difference
of a gear, is it? I think we're better off this year just seeing what these two potentially bring, and then we'll have a bit more money next season. It might be a better free agent class.
The problem is we're running out of, well, we're not run out of time. We've got this year and next year where we've got flexibility before contract extensions start becoming a thing. So I think if they're going to make a move, it's got to be this year or next year. Otherwise,
it will be next year, but the free agency next year is crazy. So I think that could be a factor.
Who are we looking at next year? Buddy Hield. So if you look at a lot of the two guards next year, a lot of them are all in their 30s. So you've got Joe Harris, Jordan Clarkson, Klay Thompson, Buddy Hield, Eric Gordon. And then everybody else aside of that that's really...
The big names don't go to free agency because they know they sign their extensions, they get their money, and if they want to trade, sooner or later they're going to get it. KD did it. I mean, Harden did it. I mean, even Ben Simmons got himself traded.